Hello, this is the distinguished one, the Caribbean Tiger, the man you love to hate, the man that stole your heart, and you are listening to Wrestling Nostalgia.
Welcome to Wrestling Nostalgia. I am your host, Dave Dynasty. In this, what we're calling today, the Dave is Exhausted and It's Rainy in North Carolina episode. This is going to be a short episode, but don't skip out on it because we got a great interview with the Caribbean Tiger on this episode that Isaacs, my co-host, did. But I don't have a lot to talk about, and I am worn out. I'm working the shoot job a lot, and it has really made me super tired. And, but you know, we're plug along. We're trying to keep to the schedule here. And that's what I'm doing. So you don't get to hear my wonderful voice too much. But we're in October and I love October. This is the beginning. I may have already said this. I don't know, but it bears repeating. This begins the most wonderful time of the year for me from here, October 1st through December 31st. It's my prime time. I love Halloween. I love Christmas. I love Thanksgiving. And I hope you guys are getting into the mood and you're out there and you're watching some spooky movies, some horror movies, whatever it might be, and doing things like that. I hope you're decorated up. I hope you're spending time with your families, but I hope you're doing it in a safe manner, of course. But I would love to hear what you guys think are some of your favorite memories from professional wrestling that have to do with Halloween or that are spooky in nature. You can, hit me up on Twitter or wherever it might be, or in the Facebook group and start a tag. Let's get this going. I'll put a tweet out there when this episode comes out. I'll put a post in the Wrestling Nostalgia Facebook group, and let's discuss. I like to see what some of you guys are thinking, and if you could find YouTube clips or whatever, put those up because I want to see them. Again, I love this time of year, and then let's tie in some professional wrestling into my love of all things Spooktober. Yeah, I said Spooktober, right? You say what you want, whatever. I don't care. You can mock me all you want. I love it. I love Halloween. I love Christmas. It's amazing. But anyway, so yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I'm not going to cover anything new, any news. Nothing out there jumped at me this week. To be truthful, I didn't see a lot. I was on social media, but I was just doing my thing, staying in my lane, and didn't really see much otherwise. Putting in a lot of hours in the shoot job. But let me give a quick shout out to some friends of mine. Go check out Aaron, Nate, and Chad on Reliving the Extreme podcast. There are some great guys. They have a great show. If you're a fan of ECW, go check them out. They're doing a rewatch through, and they're in that early stage where some of the episodes are a little rough, but they are making it entertaining and fun, and hearing them discuss it is great. Chad Austin there to give you the first-hand experience and memories from being there. It's a great show. They're a friend of Wrestling Nostalgia, friends of mine. So go check them out. It's called Reliving the Extreme. And actually, go check them out. Aaron and Nate have also the We Can't Wrestle podcast and a slew of other things. So just go check them out in all their shows. Again, friends of Wrestling Nostalgia. And I just wanted to give them a shout-out here on the show and plug them and highly recommend them. I'm going to get together at some point in time and do a little collaboration with them. They've been trying to nail me down for a long time. I am sometimes hard to schedule with these things, and I do apologize for that. Anyway, go check them out. Let's take a break. Man, I take a break. I may take a nap. I don't know what it is. I'm exhausted. It is literally 7 p.m. on the day that I'm recording this, and I'm like, I can hear my pillow calling my name. So let's take a break. Let's take a little pause in the action. Let me catch my breath, maybe catch a few winks. And when we come back, we will have Ike Isaacs, my co-host, with that interview with the Caribbean Tiger. So stick around. Be sure to follow the Dynasty Wrestling Podcast Network and all of the participating podcasts on social media. The easiest way to find us is on Twitter. You can follow the network at WrestlePods, and you can find all the individual shows at their Twitter accounts. You can find the Wrestling Nostalgia Show at Wrestle Nostalgia, the Ring a Ding Dong Dandy podcast at Stampede Pod, and the Wild Men podcast at Wild Men Podcast. Also search us on Facebook for pages and groups. Participate, interact, join the network, and be a fan. Thank you for your support.
And welcome back to Wrestling Nostalgia. I am your co-host, Ike Isaacs. And today, folks, I am joined by the Caribbean Tiger. How are we doing today?
Everything great, Isaac. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. Hey, well, let's go ahead and jump right into this. First of all, as always, thank you so much for being here. But let's kind of just roll right into this, man. So, first question, as always, where are you from?
I'm from Caguas, Puerto Rico, for La Isla del Encanto. I'm from Puerto Rico. That's it. Let's say it in English, right? I'm from Puerto Rico. From Puerto Rico. Yeah. No. So I was born in Brooklyn, but at the age of 4, me and my family moved to Puerto Rico. So I was raised in Puerto Rico. So yeah, that's where I'm come from the Caribbean, and it's the Caribbean Tiger.
Yeah, it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let me ask you: was wrestling obviously for everybody who's out there? They probably already know, but you're in the wrestling business. Was wrestling always something that you enjoyed growing up, or was there a time where wrestling became really important to you?
Man, I will say I always go back to 1988 and in August. It was SummerSlam WWE. I remember my parents were going through a lot of problems and situations, and it was kind of hectic at the house, but my uncle caught up on it, so I remember this 1988 SummerSlam. He calls me into his house, says, "Hey man, I got something over here for sure, just keep it distracted so you fall in love with it or whatnot." It was SummerSlam, man. That's the time that Ultimate Warrior beat the Honky Tonk Man in like less than a minute. After Honky Tonk Man was a champion for a year, whatnot, man. After that moment, I was like, I gotta do this. I want to do this when I grow up. I wanna make people just forget who they are for a second and just enjoy, even if it's 1 minute of a match, 1 minute promo, whatever the case may be, to capture them and help them escape reality. But it wasn't until like 2008 that I actually find out that you can actually train for this. And I was in Texas, and that's when I started with down in Dallas with Killer Tim Brooks. And then from there I moved down to Lampasas, and then to Temple and other areas. So, and here I am.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty incredible journey too. I mean, especially coming, you started in Brooklyn, and then you moved to Puerto Rico, and then you moved back. I mean, it's really incredible. So I have to ask though, you talked a little bit about some of the people that kind of inspired you to wrestle, but who were some other favorites that you liked to watch growing up?
Well, flamboyancy, Ultimate Warrior, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. This is on my fan stage, as I said. You're always a fan of wrestling if you love it, if you're passionate about it. But before I was a wrestler, it was always, the Rockers, and then Shawn Michaels as they separated. Looking at Macho Man, looking at Ric Flair, looking at Ultimate Warrior. The flamboyancy, the attraction, the larger than life characters. That's what I was hooked into. Then as I was getting older, then you have that stage that you want to be like a crazy guy. You want to be that what they call, I don't know if I can say a badass. You want to be that big guy, and so you start looking then into like Triple H and people like Goldberg. You're like, okay, like now I'm looking at Chris Benoit. Now I'm looking at Kurt Angle. So growing up, it was the flamboyancy. As I was then getting older, then it started changing more into the technicians, into the Eddie Guerrero, the areas that it just become more technical wrestling. Those who make it look like it's real, which it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, and I feel like that's a pretty natural progression. When you're younger, the ones that wear the, really just the colors and just the explosion on the screen, and it's just, super, attention grabbing. And then as you get older and you, like you said, as you become a little more smart about the business, you start to kind of notice the ones, like you said, the more technical workers. So that's a perfect explanation though.
Yeah, that's right.
But so we talked a little bit about, your kind of your upbringing in wrestling, how you got into the business, when you trained, who you trained with a little bit. So I got to ask, if you remembered, when did you debut, and do you remember your first match?
Well, the funny thing is my debut was as a referee. So I started as a referee back in January of 2008, and I was in Dallas. I was under Kilo Tim Brooks, and my first match as a referee was main eventing Keith Lee, and I cannot remember who was going against, but Keith Lee just took my breath away. He was just this larger than life guy, and to be in the ring and seeing things seeing this, like, wow, this is real, this is happening, like I got this guy in the main event, and people love him, people just chant his name nonstop, and the way they drew that psychology, it was amazing. But later on, actually, my first match as a wrestler, it didn't come down until like May or June of that same year, 2008. And I was down in Lampasas. It was under Old School Federation. And I don't think they worked anymore. But it was under Arthur Banner. And I left some basics there, too. I got some things down, and I was very green. Even when I finished the match, the dude was like, this guy's green. You didn't tell me that. So it is what it is. But from there, I learned a lot, much more. And yes, I would have probably said that about myself back then. Sometimes it's one of the things that I see in wrestling. I just see that a lot of guys are so green, and they get thrown in the ring without even being prepared yet. And it can be dangerous for yourself, or it can be dangerous for the other person. Of course, I've always been a good listener, so whatever they told me to do, I just did it, and I didn't try to overstep my boundaries. And I always have respect for the veterans and whatnot. So I was well taken care of, and I learned my lessons throughout my years of wrestling. But yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. To kind of build on that a little bit, when you debut and you first get in the business, like you said, especially when you're green and stuff, there's a lot to do with, having respect and, kind of learning from these other, folks. Early on, was there anyone who, took you under their wing and, advised and helped you grow?
Man, there were so many people that when you're in Texas, and I'm not saying that Texas is better than anybody else or anywhere else or whatnot. When you're in Texas, a lot of wrestlers, especially the veterans, they like to make sure that the business are run properly and everything is done right. So every time that you have a match, you always see the veterans looking down at your matches and checking what you're doing, and they're always giving you advice and whatnot. So I got guys like Masada, like Showtime, Scott Summers, I got Ryan Genesis, giving Keith Lee, giving advice, and Mike Dale. We have one guy, his name was Ray the Voice, and he always trying to make sure that all the matches were going smooth. And you hear from Rudy Gonzalez too. And they're always looking out for the green guys, always making sure that whenever they at and those shows that they at, we do the right thing, So we start doing seminars and hear from Les Thatcher. And you start learning more and more and start understanding more of the business. So would I say anybody took me under the wing? I will say Texas did. I will say Texas make sure that that I was learning my basics, that I knew, I understood psychology, that I understood wrestling, understood what to do when I was in the ring. So later on in life, of course, when you have learned more and whatnot, then I have, Eddie McCoy, who's my coach in Ring Wars Carolina. He knows so much. He learned on the Corino, and all the knowledge that he has brought to us and built us up has been amazing. Same thing with C.W. Anderson has helped me a lot and gave me as much advice as he can. You got Tom Preacher also helping me out on one side, Les Thatcher reaching out again, and I'm just trying to find now all these great people that have been there, done that, telling me, hey man, you good, you got what it takes, but this is the adjustments that you got to make, and then you go from there, man.
No. Absolutely. Wow. And I mean, and you really named, I would say, a pretty long list of some who's who in independent wrestling and in wrestling in general, for sure. And so I guess the next thing to kind of, ask you about, because like you said, you've been in the business, you've done your work, you've learned from the best, and you've continued to try and grow.
Yeah.
But now, I feel like especially now compared to the early 2000s, the independent wrestling scene has been explosive lately. So tell us a little bit about what you think is the best and worst part of being in independent wrestling.
Well, I will say there's a lot to learn in independent wrestling. I will say there's nothing that I would call the best and the worst. As much as I will say things to do or not to do. There is a lot of, they call the buddy system. You know me, I know you. I'll get you booked. You get me booked there, but all the people will call that networking. So while at the same time, there's a lot of athletes out there. There's a lot of people that have a lot of energy, that have a lot of charisma. They know what they're doing in the ring. You have the guys like Kobe Corino that can just go for days, and that guy can blow everybody up if your game is not up there. Victor Andrews will do the same thing to you. There's a lot of people out there that are on top of their game, and they just keep pushing forward. They're just getting better and better and better. So good things about the business now, it's like there's a mix. Back in the days, if you weren't 6'4" and over 250 pounds, they wouldn't even look at you. So I think the way that the independent business moved down more now is the big guys. A lot of times they don't want to wrestle. They just want to lift weights and do the Olympics and do other things. They don't necessarily want to just be part of professional wrestling, whatever the reasons might be. And I'm not saying that there are no guys like that still, because we still got a lot of guys that are big out there. But now he has moved down to the Shawn Michaels, the Daniel Bryan Danielson, the guys who are smaller like me that like to wrestle big. And also we have those like Osprey, who likes to just fly everywhere, and like I said, like the Kobe Corino, they can do anything. You got the Victor Andrews that can do both, But you also have you still have those guys like Preston Quinn, like C.W. Anderson, who still have the old school mentality and can keep up with those kids, and show them the right way also to do things and can tell you a story, So there's so much good in professional wrestling now that it's really hard for me as a professional wrestler to concentrate and think of the bad. Are they, of course, sex offenders and all kinds of other bad things out there? Of course, get rid of those, get them out of the business, and let's move on. I don't concentrate on the negativity. I concentrate on the positive things that happen in wrestling. I will say for everybody, just get better. Just get better, look the part, show up on time, help set up, tear down, do everything that you got to do to show that you belong, to show that you care for the business, I'm at 13 years down in the business. I still do that. I still go to seminars. I still trying to learn from my students, because you have to grow. Wrestling business continuously changes. The bases are always going to be the same, and you making your own. What was always new now, and what's new now is becoming old. So it's just so amazing right now to look at wrestling and just say that that's not an opportunity. There are so many companies, and it's not like the territory days. That back in the territory days, it was like if you belong to a territory, you cannot be to the other one. And it's a competition and whatnot. But now it's just so wonderful and great that you can just wrestle whatever you want. And bringing heat to yourself or not bringing heat to yourself, that's do the right thing and you're never going to get heat. Some people are still not going to like you, but somebody not liking you doesn't mean that you have heat with them. That's just somebody just having a personal vendetta against you for whatever reason they may be. Just don't give nobody a reason to have that heat. But other than that, I think wrestling right now it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, there's so much good stuff about wrestling, and there, a lot of folks do get hung up on the bad, of course, but there's a lot of good about professional wrestling. And like you said, just be a good person, identify the people who don't need to be there, get them out, but continue on with your wrestling. That's all that matters. Is
Simple.
keep on keeping on.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, so to kind of build off of that and what we've already talked about, we talked a lot about, your upbringing in wrestling, the people who've helped you along the way. But of course, like you said, one of the biggest things about wrestling these days is, that sort of networking aspect. Like you said, you could work for so many different companies and do so much now that you couldn't do back in the old days. But nowadays, with so many promotions out there, what promotions do you appear for regularly that you work for?
Well, I've done appearances in Ringwood, Carolina. Is the one in Lumberton, North Carolina. Is the one that appeared the most. I also been with Tar Heel Championship Wrestling. I've been in a show in AML. I've been in one show in Future Stars of AML. I've done shows with Gouge Wrestling, and they run in breweries, and it's a lot of fun. And I have a fun wherever I go. But Gouge is just a different atmosphere, people drinking beer, whatnot. They're all rowdy and excited, so I love that. I've done shows back in NWA 360, what used to be NSF back in 2010, 14 or whatnot. That was in Texas, and I do shows with AIWF. There's so many to remember right now, but I've done American Lucha Wrestling too. So I try to be as sporadic as I can, and sometimes just the schedule feels so quick that it's kind of hard to keep expanding without maintaining communication and ensuring they still making the bookings that for those who gave you the opportunity. And that's all about for me. Yes, I like to be in a higher venues and higher spectrums, of course, but at the same time I also remember those who gave me the opportunity to be with them. So even though if I grew, if I got better, or if I'm more marketable now and I can bring you 30, 40 people extra that you never seen, and you're going to have 40 more fans that are going to follow me and they're going to know me. Well, I will do that. I'm the guy that likes to put people, like they call asses in seats, but I'm the guy that I like to build up and I like to have a show that makes sense and wrestle against guys that they know what they're doing. And if you're green, then I'll teach you how to do it. I'm all about learning and teaching and coaching and mentoring and being a student too, because at the end of the day, I think we all are students of the business. So all those promotions that I said, I will always be a part of them. And those who are continue to open up, hey, more than welcome. I will always show up.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and that's the best mentality to have in this business. Like you said, you call me up, book me up, I'll show up. That's 100% the way to do it.
Yes,
but,
I will.
But on that same train of thought, are there any upcoming shows that you'd like to specifically plug? Anything that you're doing in the near future that you're excited about?
Man, am I excited about tomorrow. I have Gouge, and we're going to be in at the Fainting Code Brewery in Marina Forquay, and I'm going against Seymour Snot. He's the Gouge champion right now, and it's going to be a soft core match. You heard that right. A soft core match. This is one of the things I love about Gouge. It's all about gimmicks. It's all about fun, having a good time, and at the same time, if I get to kick his ass, hey, that'll be great. If I get to beat him up and take this championship away from him, that'll be amazing, and that'll be a great feeling. As it is every single match that I get the chance to beat on my opponents, of course. But he is great. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. So that's where I'll be at tomorrow. Next week, I will be in Ringwood, Carolina, and I open a challenge to the AIWF World Heavyweight Champion, who is the unpredictable one, Damian Wayne. Damian has been in the business for more than 15, 20 years. He's a great veteran. He is owning that championship for a reason. He deserved it. He earned it. He has paid his dues, and he has a lot of knowledge. He knows exactly what to do in the ring. So I'll open a challenge to him. So Ring Wars Carolina Candy Bowl, that's going to be in Lumberton, North Carolina. So that's another one that I'll be in. There's many more that are coming up, and I'm looking forward to them too. So I will have to pull my calendar out all the way down to December. I got something going on every weekend.
Hey, that's good though. That's good though.
Yeah.
And I was just going on there and looking at that gouge show that you were mentioned. So I was just checking that out. That's really cool though. It's really interesting kind of venue choices.
Halloween. So it'll be fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh Lord. So I guess the next thing we want to do is, we want to kind of take it in a slightly different direction because, we talk a lot about wrestling. We talk about a lot of, hey, who did you like growing up? Who are your inspirations in wrestling? And we do all that kind of stuff, of course. But we also like to kind of learn a little bit about who you are outside of the ring. So, so I guess the question that I would ask is, what's one thing that maybe most fans don't know about the Caribbean Tiger?
Most fans may not know about the Caribbean Tiger that I used to be a stripper. Most fans, I know that. Whoa, you should pause on that. Pause, release, relax. Oh my God, what, stripper? Yes, I did that. I did it twice in my life. Okay, so that's a deep secret, but hey, it ain't a secret no more, I guess, at this point. Another thing that people don't know about me, I'm retired military. I served my 15 years and I was medically retired from the military. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do my 20, but I still got my retirement, so that's a good thing. Another thing about me, I'm a father, and I'm a husband, and I'm happily married. Even though I might be a jackass or a jerk when it comes to ring persona or whatnot, I'm still a nice guy. So my kids, I obligated them to say that. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
No, I'm a good family man, and I love my family. I love adventuring with my family and doing every single time that I have the chance and opportunity. I do that. Also, for a time, I was an instructor of Taekwondo, so I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. And that was a lot of fun, teaching and coaching other guys. It was great. Doing wrestling, too. I help in Ring Wars Carolina. I help Eddie McCoy. That's an assistant coach, too. There's sometimes I take over the class, sometimes that I just assist, and then sometimes just there as a student. And I call myself a student every single time that I'm over there. That's about it. I mean, there's more to it. Of course, I ride bikes. Of course, I drink whiskey and my rum, and I love. I'm a cigar aficionado, and you can tell that by the pictures. Everybody, okay, yeah, I do. You do always have a cigar in your mouth. What's going on? Well, I like cigars. I just do like cigars. I'm a cigar aficionado. But other than that, I'm just a mellow kind of guy. Not really. I have to be busy. I have to stay busy nonstop. That is one of the things about a lot of us in the professional wrestling. I will say that I suffer from ADHD, but I do like to stay busy. I cannot stay quiet because it's just my brain won't let me. So all I do is just lift weights, spend time with the family, have my drinks here and there, and enjoy life. That's it.
I can't ask for more than that. Well, yeah. First of all, before I move on too far, I want to thank you, of course, for your service. Both as military and as a stripper. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Oh Lord, but that's a lot of, but that's a lot of great stuff. Though. I mean, thank you very much for sharing that about us and everything else. That's great. That's great. But I guess another thing to kind of work off of that is being a family man, being everything else, and being a wrestler. I'm sure you have some goals for the current year, and we're about done with the year. So, it's been a crazy year to say the least, but for the rest of this year and looking into 2022, what are some goals you have for life and for professional wrestling?
Well, right now I'm just trying to finish the year. I'm trying to spend as much time as I can with my family. I have kids that are growing, they're teenagers, they're getting into volleyball and sports, and science projects that for 7 hours, 8 hours. So I have to give my dedicated attention and my specific attention to them. Also trying to be a good husband and whatnot. But when it comes to professional wrestling, I'm trying to complete all the bookings that I have all the way down to December. And I've been doing a change in my eating habits. I've done a change in my working out habits. So now I'm working out Monday through Saturday for 3-4 hours in the gym. And I'm eating healthier, trying to be a better me. Because there's always somebody out there trying to outwork you, my goal in the future is to eliminate excuses for bookers to say no. I want to eliminate those excuses that people will look at me and say, you know what, I do want you in my show. I do know what you can provide to the show, and I'm willing to put you in my card. I'm willing to do this, X, Y, Z, whatever the case may be. And I'm always open for opportunities. I'm always open to trying to do Ring of Honor in Japan and WWE and AEW. And I understand right now what WWE is not taking anybody my age. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to close my doors and I'm going to think, I'm no longer care about it. No, I do care. I do care because if I get the opportunity to be a stripper in WWE, I will do so. Right? But also, I will do whatever it takes, if to try to get to the next level, because for me, there's no stopping. There's no slowing down. It's always about learning. It's always about getting better. And when my body says so that it's time for me to stop, then I stop. It's just that simple. So goals: to be a better man, to be a better wrestler, and to make sure that I continue to do things the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect goals. Wow. So I guess, first and foremost, before I kind of, get us into the end here, I want to thank you again very much for coming on here, sharing your, honestly, your life and life story with wrestling. It's been great getting to talk to you. So thank you so much for giving me the time and chatting with me today, first and foremost.
Hey, thank you, Isaac, and thank you, Dave, for this opportunity. It means a lot to me that you guys reach out and you guys wanted to hear my story, my side of the story. By all means, any single day that you want, man, just hit me up, send me a message, and I'm always available for interviews or whatever you want to do. If you want to either sit down, have a whiskey and some cigars or a nice mojito or whatever, just let me know, man. Always available.
Absolutely. I may have to take you up on that sometime. But I guess the last thing I want to get from you here, you talked a little bit about it earlier, but, in this modern age of wrestling, so networking and everything else is so important. So what are some social medias that you have to connect to the fans?
Man, I have Facebook, I have TikTok, I have Twitter, I have Instagram, I have MySpace. Negative, I don't have MySpace anymore. But if you want to go to, I'm on the Caribbean Tiger on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at Caribbean Tiger, on Twitter at Rio Caleb Tiger, and TikTok as Tigerinos. That is spelled Tiger and then INOES, Tigerinos. So all social media, man, I'm all about, this is part of networking. This is a new way to sell your stuff out. Social media is the best way to do it. Sell tickets. There you go. That's how you do it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Social media is crazy, man. It's so crazy, but it's such a good way to get out there. I tell you what.
And don't forget, if you don't mind, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube channel and Ring Wars Carolina TV. And if you have Roku or if you have Amazon Fire Stick, if you download the Kid Network, you can see me every Tuesday at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'm always there. And then in our YouTube channel is a Battlegrounds. So you can see me on TV. I'm on TV. Yay. So you can see me every Tuesday through the King Network on Roku or Amazon Fire Stick. Ring Wars Carolina presenting Battlegrounds. So every Tuesday I'm in there.
Wow. Yeah. So folks, I'll say folks out there, if you're listening to this right now and you haven't already, go subscribe to all the social medias. Check out. You said it was Battlegrounds, and what was the network it's on?
It's on the King Network.
King Network. So check that out. Caribbean Tiger, he's a phenomenal talent. So You don't want to miss out. Don't want to miss out at all. So follow him on his social medias. Check him out. Check him out on YouTube. You won't be sorry. But again, thank you so much, Caribbean Tiger, for having us. Giving us the moment to talk to you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna hand it back over to Dave, and for him to finish off Wrestling Nostalgia.
Support all of the podcasts here on the Dynasty Wrestling Podcast Network. Best way to do that is go to our Pro Wrestling Tees store. It is at PROWRESTLINGTEES.com/TheDaveDynasty. There you will find all of the shirts that we offer: I Heart Old School Wrestling, Bruiser Buddy, the Podcast Mask shirt, and of course, the official shirts for the Ontario Wildman and the Ring a Ding Dong Dandy podcast. Visit PROWRESTLINGTEES.com/TheDaveDynasty. Order a shirt and support the network. If you would also like to support, you can join our Patreon. It's at patreon.com/DaveDynasty. There you will get exclusive audio and video clips, early releases on podcasts, and much, much more. And if you would just like to make one-time contributions to support us, you can go to paypal.me/TheDaveDynasty. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for listening. Continue to support independent wrestling podcast. All right. Thank you to Ike Isaacs for conducting that interview. And thank you to the Caribbean Tiger for coming on Wrestling Nostalgia. Now we're at that point in time in the show where we do our best bad promos, right? Now, today's is not really a bad promo, but it is freaking hilarious. And when you say freaking hilarious in wrestling, there's a good chance you're talking about Bobby Heenan. One of my heroes, one of my idols, one of the guys that I most love in the history of professional wrestling. When I first broke into professional wrestling and I became a wrestling manager, I wanted to be a mix of Bobby Heenan and Jim Cornette. And of course, I paled in comparison to both, but I had fun doing it. But anyway, this is a hilarious promo. This is from the show on TNT with Vince McMahon and Bobby Heenan, and this is where they answer a letter from a female viewer.
Dear TNT, my husband has a 6-inch scar on his face that really turns me off. Since most, bear with me, since most wrestlers have scars, perhaps perhaps you could give me some advice so that I can overcome my turn off. Well, let's put it this way to the poor old soul. The way she writes and the way she talks and the way she talks about her husband, she should probably be thankful that he has 6 inches of anything, whether it's on his face or in the backyard or in the garage, because she sounds like a very lonely lady.
Oh, man. I had to take that audio and I had to clean it up a lot. There's a lot of background buzz and static from where it was clearly transferred from kind of a rough copy of a VHS. So you lost a lot of the effect, and I don't know what is the most hilarious aspect of that clip. Bobby Heenan and his wit that is just so amazing, or the fact that Vince McMahon was cracking up just while reading the letter. Even before anything else was said, he was cracking up at the letter. And that pause after 6-inch, it gets me every time. That is so fun. I love that clip. Bobby Heenan, bravo, my friend. Bravo, my hero, Bobby Heenan. One of my heroes, let's put it that way. Oh, thank you for joining us. Hey, soon I'm diving into the history, right? I've been kind of swamped. I've had a lot of stuff going on at work. We've been keeping the shows pumping out with these interviews that Ike Isaacs have been conducting so that there is material and the episodes coming out and you are introduced to a lot of this great talent that you may not have heard of. But we are going to be diving into the history episodes. I recently posted on Facebook and Twitter talking about Mitsu Arakawa's heavyweight championship win over Dick the Bruiser for the WWA Indianapolis. Very soon, we're going to have friend of the show, John Lawson, back on, and he's going to do a retrospective of Mitsu's career. I cannot wait for that. So look for that coming up in an episode. Also, very, very soon, we're going to have friends of the show, Richard Vicek and George Lentz, two wrestling authors. Richard wrote Bruiser, the biography on Dick the Bruiser. George Lentz wrote the Crusher record book. So these guys know those two guys extraordinarily well, and they're going to come on the show, and we are going to discuss the Dick the Bruiser and Crusher tag team. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about their history, a lot of their noted dates and rivals that they wrestled, all kinds of great stuff. So look for that coming up. We're bringing you the Midwest history that we've always done. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And then pretty soon, like I said, Christmas is coming. That means we'll do a re-release of the very Dynasty Christmas, which means you'll get to hear Dave Dynasty saying Christmas carols that are modeled and parodied to talk about Midwest wrestling. It's bad. It's horrible. I will warn you now. I can't sing, but it's funny. So feel free to laugh, have fun, enjoy. Maybe I'll bring a little holiday cheer to your time of year. So look for that coming up in December. That's it. Let's get out of here. I'm going to bed, man. I'm hungry and I'm tired, so I'm going to feed myself and go to bed. And I might do them at the same time. Who knows? So we will see you next week here on Wrestling Nostalgia. So wherever you go and whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.